This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho there, it's Jeff Cutastrophe. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, August the 10th, 2017, one of the biggest upsets in tennis happened as a young, plucky 18-year-old Denis Shapovalov, I knew I would butcher the name, took on Rafa Nadal in the third round of the Canadian Open, aka the Rogers Cup, held in Montreal, Quebec. Now you'll be thinking, oh, come on, Jeff, this is nationalistic. It is. I mean, but what people forget about the Canadian Open is that it's the third oldest tennis tournament in the world behind Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. Of course, the Canadian Open is the longest running non-major in tennis history for both the men and the women. But the Canadian Open has had some great moments. The men's tournament, one of the greatest finals ever, was Agassi versus Sampras 1995 in Montreal, when they were top two players in the world and had that friendly rivalry, if you will. However, what's weird about the Canadian Open is that in alternate years, the men play in Toronto and Montreal. So one year they'll be in Toronto, and then the men will be in Montreal when the women are in Toronto. But this year, 2017, was in Montreal. Now, the 2023 tournament is in Toronto. If you're thinking, if it's every other year, isn't it in Montreal? Well, COVID ruined everything. Remember, 2020 screwed things up. So then it went back to 2021 with Toronto hosting the men's tournament, and then 2023 again. So anyway, the 2017 tournament happened. And all that. Novak Djokovic was the reigning champion of the Canadian Open, but he got injured. And Andy Murray got hurt because of hip injury. So that meant Rafa Nadal had a chance to be number one in the world. He needed to reach the semifinals. So anyhow, before we get to the group involving Nadal and Shapo, Section 2 saw Algeria, the 4 seed, beat Kevin Anderson to make it to the semifinals. Section 3 had the Dutchman Ruben Haas take down Diego Schwartzman in the quarterfinals. And Section 4 had Roger Federer, number 2 seed, taking down number 12 Roberto Bautista Agut. Now comes the group with Shapo and Nadal meeting in the third round. Now, in Canada, the top 8 seeds got first round byes and would be in the second round, whereas there would be other matchups involved. Shapo, as a wild card, would take on the Brazilian Roberto Dutra Silva, losing the first set 6-4, but then winning in a tiebreak the second set. Third set, he scored a 6-4 victory, which meant that he would move on to the next round. He would face Juan Martin Del Potro, the 2009 U.S. Open champion, who beat John Isner in the first round. Shapo took down Del Potro in straight sets. Meanwhile, Rafa Nadal, as the number 1 seed in the group, took on the Croatian Bernard Koric and took him down 6-1, 6-2. In the meantime, in the other half of Section 1, an upset happened as the number 9 seed David Govan of Belgium got shocked by Hyung Chung of Korea, whereas Milos Raonic, the 6th seed in that particular tournament, got upset by the Frenchman Adrien Manarino. Manarino would face Chung and beat him, so whoever won Nadal Shapo would take on Manarino in the quarterfinals. It was huge. I mean, Rafa Nadal, like the number 1 seed in the tournament and could be number 1 seed in the men's tournament, men's rankings, in 2017, would take on Shapo, a wild card, an 18-year-old, and it looked good for Nadal. He won 6-3, so it looked like Nadal was going to breeze through Shapo and take on Manarino. However, Shapo proved his worth and took it to a third set, winning 6-4. So with 1 set all, it was huge. Best of 3 sets. Unlike the majors, where it's best of 5, it's best of 3 on tour things. Anyhow, Shapo held Nadal at bay with pass and shot and pass and shot, pass and shot. It got to a tiebreak. First to 7 points wins. And Shapo outserved Nadal and outgained Nadal and did everything past Nadal. And guess what? Shapo won the third set 7-6. In the tiebreak 7-4. They sent Montreal into a frenzy. Oh, did I mention that Montreal was celebrating its 375th anniversary as a city? Probably didn't need to know that, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So anyway, Shapo did it. He shocked the world and moved on to the quarterfinals. And despite losing the first set to Marino, he won 6-3, 6-4, meaning that Shapo was going to the semifinals in a dream match with Alex Zverev of Germany. Unfortunately for Shapo, the fairy tale ended there as he lost to Zverev 6-4, 7-5, meaning that Zverev would be in the final, and it looked like it would be a Federer final. And it was. Federer took down Haas 6-3, 7-6. And it looked good for Federer to win the match, to win the tournament, as he sometimes did in the Canadian Open. However, shockingly, Zverev pulled off the upset, winning 6-3, 6-4, meaning that it was his first Canadian Open championship and great time for Germany. If memory serves me right, I think was Zverev the first German to win? The first German to win the championship? First German male? I don't think so. I feel like Becker won it. As I look at the stats and all that yeah, Boris Becker was the 1986 champion, beating Stefan Edberg, and he was the only other German to win. So yeah, in the Open era, so that was huge and all that. For the record, Ivan Lendl has the record for most Canadian Open championships after the Open era, with 6. All of them won before 1990. And then, of course, it changed to the ATP Masters 1000 series, if you will. And Rafa Nadal did win 5 times here in Canada. 05, 08, 13, 18, 19. So yeah, he was back-to-back champion at one time. But Medvedev and Carina Busta have won since the COVID thing, and 2023 tournament is still ongoing as of this taping. So anyway, anything can happen, and Nadal got. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond, do.